I made one request. It was not for oil, it was for priests. With this, you failed.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the Netflix shows, specials, and movies that flopped critically and/or commercially.
Chelsea, I just want to say you should be proud of what you did here.
Number 20, Disjointed.
Your kids, you love them, right? But let's face it, the bottomless pits of need.
I'm right here, Mom.
Chuck Lorre is the master of the sitcom, but he couldn't make it work with Disjointed. Released at a time when marijuana laws were relaxing, Disjointed is all about the substance. Kathy Bates plays Ruth Feldman, the stoner owner of an LA dispensary. Sometimes the show is a workplace comedy, other times it's a thinly veiled pamphlet on how awesome the plant is. Between the bad jokes, the sitcom tackles misconceptions about the substance, relays its long history, and touts its medical benefits. Basically, Disjointed seems to have been made by committee to cash in on the growing weed craze of the time. It received terrible reviews and was canceled after one season.
Pot that doesn't just make you high, but makes you whole.
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Number 19, Space Force.
There will be setbacks along the way. There are risks to every great endeavor.
Now that we think about it, a lot of Netflix projects are probably made by committee to cash in on crazes. The actual United States Space Force was founded in December 2019, and the show was released about 5 months later. It really should have been a hit with the topicality of the real Space Force and massive names like Steve Carell, John Malkovich, and co-creator Greg Daniels. Unfortunately, the show failed to launch. Reception was quite poor, with critics singling out its lazy satire and messy tonal inconsistencies. The involvement of Daniels also raised expectations way too high, considering he developed and co-created The Office and Parks and Recreation, respectively. Space Force ain't them, not by a long shot.
Our job today is to decide whether Space Force should continue to exist and under whose command.
Number 18, Naked.
Excuse me, sir, you're naked.
Yeah, listen, I need a room key.
On July 21st, 2017, a movie called Girls Trip was released theatrically. It starred Regina Hall, scored 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, and grossed over $140 million. 3 weeks later, another Hall project called Naked, which bombed and scored 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, came out. Oh, the fickle nature of Hollywood. An American remake of a Swedish comedy, Naked stars Marlon Wayans as Rob Anderson, a nude man stuck in a time loop on his wedding day. The premise is certainly fun, but the movie lets it down in every conceivable way with a weak script and lame attempts at comedy. Let's just watch Groundhog Day again, or Girls Trip, or the original Swedish film, anything, really.
What's your pregame like, huh? You stretch beforehand, or, just straight up get wasted?
Sir, I am not a streaker, okay? I was just trying to get to my wedding.
Number 17, Marvel's Iron Fist.
Leopard punch.
By the mid-2010s, it seemed like superhero fare could do no wrong, especially if it belonged to the MCU. Well, Iron Fist proved that theory wrong. This was the fourth Marvel show released by Netflix, and it was undoubtedly the worst. It was a disaster from the start, with white English actor Finn Jones being cast in the lead role. This led to accusations of whitewashing, which the character's co-creator publicly and controversially rebuked. The show itself was also a massive letdown, with bad pacing, bad writing, and bad fight choreography. A major no-no when it comes to a story centered around martial arts. Iron Fist was trashed by critics and MCU fans alike and was canceled after 2 seasons.
Don't try that again.
Number 16, Friends from College.
John, your pant is all bloody.
Oh, yeah, I'm training for a marathon. I tripped over a boy on my run.
How many times are we going to do the friends going about their lives in New York thing? That's the question many were surely asking when Friends from College was released. This comedy follows a group of 40-something-year-old pals in New York who navigate life, jobs, friendships, relationships. We know, yawn. The series was widely criticized for its lack of originality. And while the characters were played by talented actors, they were deeply, deeply unlikable. And not in a fun Succession sort of way. The inferior quality made us want to watch other and far greater Friends Living in New York shows. And Netflix quietly let this one go after 2 seasons.
You know I'm a bad dancer. Why do we have to turn our wedding into a talent show?
You know what? We'll forget it. Just forget it.
Number 15, Red Notice.
I know you. You're the slow bald guy that's been chasing me.
Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot all in the same movie? How could this go wrong? We don't know, but it did. Red Notice certainly wasn't a disaster and did well enough to warrant 2 upcoming sequels. That's the star power of the core trio at work, but the movie itself is a huge disappointment, considering the incredible talents both behind and in front of the cameras. It received a surprisingly lukewarm reception, with many people criticizing its trope-filled script, bad action scenes, and thin character work. It's fun enough for a lazy Sunday afternoon, and it was certainly successful enough, but everyone was expecting more.
You know what I think is funny, Booth?
Vin Diesel's audition tape for Cats? It exists.
Number 14, Death Note.
Each death must be physically possible, so no shark attacks while someone's on the toilet. As much as I love that idea.
Many people will never forgive Netflix for what they did to Death Note. The manga is enormously popular, and the anime has received universal praise, acting as a shining example of short but sweet. And then came the live-action Netflix adaptation. To say that it was received poorly by fans of the manga would be a massive understatement. Virtually everything about the film was compared negatively to its source, including the complexity of the characters, the lack of moral ambiguity, the significant plot deviations, and the whitewashing of the cast. The backlash eventually got so bad and so heated that director Adam Wingard was forced to delete his Twitter account.
You're the one who flew into the sun. I'm just here to make sure you actually burn.
Number 13, Arrested Development.
Neither had expected to see each other after some recent unpleasantness.
When it was announced that Netflix would be bringing back Arrested Development, the world let out a collective cheer. When we saw what they did with it, it was a collective groan. The original 3 Fox seasons are undeniable classics of television comedy. Season 4, however, is a major swing and a miss. Many criticized the bizarre narrative structure of the season, as it eliminated the ensemble dynamic we'd come to love to focus on individual character stories. It was a risk, and it didn't pay off. The 5th season brought the gang back together, but like a high school reunion, the chemistry wasn't the same. The great Netflix revival was a disappointment overall, and Arrested Development ended again after season 5.
Am I that much of a monster, Michael, even to you?
Number 12, Resident Evil.
He won't do anything to me. Because hurting me hurts Umbrella. And let's face it, Umbrella is all you have.
Remember that Resident Evil show that Netflix did? That's okay, few people do. Released in July of 2022, this was the second franchise adaptation in just 8 months, following the movie Welcome to Raccoon City, released the previous November. While the show received a mixed response from critics, it was viciously condemned by fans of the Resident Evil franchise. Criticisms ranged far and wide and included general complaints centered around the acting, writing, and directing. There were also more specific ones taking aim at things like unlikable characters and the way the fun zombie-killing story was turned into a teenage soap opera. While the show debuted in the top 10 in over 90 countries, it wasn't successful enough to warrant a second season.
PAC 2426 still shows no sign of leadership structure or higher brain function.
Number 11, Bad Samaritans.
Happy 4th anniversary, babe!
Yeah, Jake, we need to take a break from each other. Maybe forever.
There's a delicate balancing act required when writing dark sitcoms. Unfortunately, Bad Samaritans failed to toe that line. It's about a group of people performing menial jobs for community service, but the result is more sad than enjoyable. Our heroes are people who start a forest fire. How funny. And they're required to perform tasks like euthanizing dogs. Hilarious. Not. Put simply, it wasn't a very pleasant show, and it's no surprise that it came and went without any significant attention. Not only was it quietly axed after 1 season, but it's no longer available on Netflix, having been pulled off the service some time ago.
Helping people could be just as rewarding as robbing, stabbing, or bludgeoning someone to death with a rusty tire iron.
Number 10, The Ranch.
I gotta put that on your tombstone. Here lies Colt Bennett. Next time it'll be different.
Capitalizing on the American cultural landscape, Netflix produced a country-themed original with distinct characters. The Ranch examines family dynamics, with Sam Elliott playing the grizzled patriarch and Ashton Kutcher starring as the black sheep that strayed and returned home. Despite such an accomplished cast, the show is plagued by polarizing reviews, with many finding the characters, jokes, and narrative to be highly predictable. It also tried to blend comedy with hard-hitting family drama, but none of it really worked in the long run. And finally, The Ranch and its reputation was also marked by real-world issues, as Danny Masterson was accused of assault. He was fired, not appearing in the final 3 parts.
If you can't see the problem with that, and I did an even worse job raising you two than I thought.
Number 9, Flaked.
Oh, I thought you said that it was free.
That's the name, free coffee. As in free of all, like, bad stuff.
On paper, this Netflix original seems like a winner. Will Arnett, known for Arrested Development and BoJack Horseman, is the creator, executive producer, and star. He plays Chip, a Venice Beach native that's trying to overcome his personal demons. Given the premise, many have noticed similarities to the popular Showtime series Californication, which also features a conflicted man living in Venice. Strong as the production values may be, including some direction from the Oscar-winning Wally Pfister, Flaked failed to impress critics, considering its plot holes and tendency towards the melodrama. Plus, the average viewer could easily find weak spots in the storytelling and the lead character's all too familiar traits.
You want me to give you $4 million?
Think of it more as a loan between friends.
You're not that good of a friend.
So you'll think about it.
Number 8, The Get Down.
This is the Fantastic Four, plus 1. Yeah, this is the crew.
In July 2016, Stranger Things immediately connected with viewers thanks to its charming cast and nostalgic style. 1 month later, Netflix dropped another youth-centric series, albeit with a much different budget and setting. Created by the iconic Baz Luhrmann, The Get Down examines the molding of culture and music in 1970s South Bronx. The series reportedly cost a whopping $120 million, making it one of the most expensive Netflix originals of the time. The initial 6 episodes were mostly well received, but viewers, whose numbers were already lower than expected, were kept waiting 8 months for the second half, further hurting the numbers. Given the disconnect, Netflix ultimately cut the cord.
But for all of us, when we see our names on these trains, only even for a fleeting moment, we can say, I was here.
Number 7, Amy Schumer, The Leather Special.
I feel like every comedian needs a leather special.
Filmed at Denver's Belco Theater, this stand-up special didn't exactly break the bank in terms of production costs or anything, but it was depicted as a train wreck by numerous media outlets. Amy Schumer's crude brand of humor seemingly didn't connect with many Netflix subscribers, most notably the far right. According to various reports, a coordinated effort was actually made to lower the Netflix original's rating, resulting in a lengthy Instagram reaction from Schumer herself. Whether you agree with the largely positive reviews from critics or the naysayers and commenters online, the end result was the same for Netflix, a brutal rating and plenty of bad press.
Thank you so much! I love you!
Number 6, Between.
You know who I am? Mr. Locke. So you know I own the dealership you just stole that truck from.
Produced in Canada, this Netflix original blends science fiction with teenage angst. There's certainly a market for a series like Between, but the Netflix distribution deal didn't prove to be a success with critics or subscribers. Former Nickelodeon actress Jeanette McCurdy adds a certain amount of star power, but the story of Pretty Lake feels watered down and bland when compared to more popular Netflix originals, resulting in a 22% Rotten Tomatoes rating. After 2 seasons totaling 12 episodes, Between found itself relegated to a spot in television production limbo, eventually being considered dead.
Citizens of Pretty Lake, as you know, the situation is increasingly grave.
Number 5, Chelsea.
It's such a nice job to come out to applause. I mean, it's the best.
As the platform's first talk show, this Netflix original broke new ground. 3 episodes would air each week, featuring interviews between host Chelsea Handler and various celebrities. The star power's there, yet many fans and critics cite the bland conversation as a major flaw. In fact, the New York Post once established an article titled, "Why is Chelsea Handler's new show so awful?" Some viewers may have enjoyed the mix of edgy conversations and lighthearted topics, but the critics most definitely had issues with Chelsea, a series that seemingly bored more than it excited prior to its cancellation.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the last time, it's Chelsea Handler.
Number 4, Marco Polo.
Marco. She gave you a fine name.
To tell an epic story, studios need an epic budget, and Netflix was willing to oblige in order to bring this historical drama to life. They reportedly spent $90 million on the first 10 episodes alone. Despite the quality production design, Season 1 of Marco Polo didn't impress critics. Season 2 delivered a notable bump in quality, but this Netflix original inevitably flopped because of dollars and cents. All said and done, Netflix reportedly lost $200 million, a deficit from which the series couldn't possibly bounce back. As a result, Marco Polo became the first Netflix original series not to be renewed for a 3rd season.
It is. As it should be.
Number 3, True Memoirs of an International Assassin.
He published a book claiming to be, get this, an international assassin.
Unlike a TV series, films have no second season in which to mature and improve, meaning that when they fail, they can do it in truly spectacular fashion. True Memoirs of an International Assassin holds a 0% Rotten Tomatoes rating as of 2024, which some would argue is the film's greatest feat. The screenplay itself received plenty of hype in the years leading up to production, but the filmmaking and acting failed to keep viewers engaged. Critics were generally scathing in their reviews. Furthermore, the film upset many Venezuelans for the negative depiction of their country, making it a true international failure.
General Ruiz, how did you get a meeting with him?
How I get most of my meetings here. I was abducted.
Number 2, Hemlock Grove.
You were going to ask me about an animal attack.
Well, we don't know what it is.
During its initial run, this Netflix original earned 2 Emmy nominations. The visual effects and Hemlock Grove theme music were praiseworthy, but critics otherwise picked the show apart, particularly the storytelling, with many citing the lack of focus and slow pace as the primary issues. Viewers may find value in the horror experience as well as the gore and comedy that come with it, but the series ultimately failed to reach its full potential, even with noted horror director Eli Roth serving as co-executive producer. Netflix put the final nail in the coffin after 3 seasons.
You would have been a good father, a good husband. I
I know it seems impossible now, but someone else will come along.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, The Ridiculous Six.
Good morning, boys.
Morning never wears bra.
Adam Sandler's brand of comedy has always been rather distinct. So when he signed a 4-movie deal with Netflix in 2014, many subscribers knew what to expect. However, in addition to failing to deliver the laughs, The Ridiculous Six managed to disappoint in surprising ways with its lack of cultural sensitivity. Numerous indigenous actors reportedly walked off set during the initial production. Despite the backlash and subsequent flops like The Do-Over and Sandy Wexler, Netflix extended Sandler's deal in 2017. It would seem that Sandler's Netflix original films nonetheless deliver strong streaming numbers. Regardless, The Ridiculous Six was widely considered a colossal flop, at least cinematically and culturally speaking.
I feel kind of guilty about this, bro.
Did you enjoy any of these offerings despite them flopping? Let us know in the comments below.
Saddest thing you ever seen.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.